As I mentioned before, in the first 2 episodes of this podcast series, where I open up about my awakening experience or big energy shift to a deeper understanding and growing path of self-awareness, my fascination with number patterns and the awareness of the energies that these numbers have, whether it's repeating numbers on the clock or on license plates each day as I am on the road doing these side gig jobs to get by, as I open up more time to create, I notice myself breaking more and more away from the skeptic, always questioning from this particular part of the journey. Even opening my mind up to the possibility and continue to move more towards truth. Just like a kid watching Sesame Street, learning to count 1 to 10. Or how about when I was a freshman in high school, learning to count in Spanish 1 to 10, and so on. You can understand the spiral of life, where everything comes back to you. The very cells in our human bodies contain DNA, a pattern. For me, this just refutes just being a coincidence and shows connection. It shows synchronization. We can all agree more times than we can count seeing 11:11 on the clock. Maybe you make a wish for something great, a lottery win, or even a little bit of hope. And currently, I am live from the nation's capital of the United States, and I'm officially on road. And you are listening to Brandon Kenyon. If this is your first episode listen, or you're a continued supporter, I welcome you. I'm very happy and grateful you are on your own journey alongside myself as we continue to help walk each other home back to one. This is episode 11 of Hope on Road. So I created this brand podcast concept in November of 2021, but I didn't start recording the first episode until April of this year. And towards the beginning of this year, before I took initiative to actually record my own voice, I began brainstorming and putting in thought into where I wanted to go with this podcast. And I already had an intention set that the 11th episode would be about number patterns, especially the angel numbers of 1, 11, 111, and 1111. So this episode is about that, as well as about oneness versus diversity, and a brief touch upon the law of one, even though I haven't quite fully experienced more information yet about that. We all have unique energies that are solely dependent upon you as dependent upon I, and what I or you choose to believe from within. We are one of one. No one can think like me. No one can think like you. And one of the episodes where I talked about knowing about who you are, knowing about who I am and how I struggle to find my identity. And this is the journey of that. A unicorn, if you will. I always felt like I was left in the dark, wondering why I couldn't connect with anyone, wondering why I couldn't be recognized by anyone. Shit, just wondering. It kind of hardened my shell and took away all the things that stem under love. Self-love, in particular, for me on my journey. But that's the thing. All the negative, bad stuff that I've went through as an introvert, being a late bloomer, coming out of my shell, owning my uniqueness and labels that I used to get made fun of for, as much as I'm trying to steer away from labels. But, this is the human experience as spiritual beings, separated from source, as self. Learning to be the leader of your own mind and your ego, strengthening a healthy ego. Not so much death of the ego, but we all have our own desires. And the desire to fully know my own soul has taken precedent over other desires. However, they all still are on the table as I continue to live my life. I fully believe that magic and science, fact, are on the same side of the coin, whereas the unknown is on the tail end. And in between is the courage and faith inside yourself to go through, to fully trust in the unknown. To truly believe and have an inner knowing that we will always be okay despite what is thrown at us, whether it's from the outside or just a projection of what is going on within yourself. Understanding these number patterns and the energies that they hold, the topics, the phenomena, has grown tremendously since the last episode, which was, if you listen to it, over 2 hours long. But that's okay. No edits, like I said before. And it's been about over 2 weeks since I put out content, even though I'm overwhelming myself right now with all these episode topics, and I'm just growing in my creativity as I'm becoming aware of the current astrological energies. And with numbers, it's a modality called numerology. And these are the first things I started when I had that awakening experience exactly 2 years ago. I joke around and say, this is my year 3 at Hogwarts. Scorpio season, almost to a T to my birth chart. Which is funny. It's a snapshot in the sky when you're born in astrology, unique to you and solely you, just like your fingerprints as a human. We're all uniquely different, but we're all the same on the inside. Past skin color, past sexual orientation, past all the shit that we judge each other for, are not self. And see, right now, the eclipses, like back in end of April and May, are here again. And we are in between the one that we just had in the new moon in Scorpio, coming up to the full moon in Taurus. And it's just funny how it's a lot of releasing and endings to new beginnings in a more positive light, and how my deeper understanding of when my shadow self is present, when I'm not in my energy. And right now, and honestly, I have another podcast episode that in the works, as all these are being put together day by day as I go through the experience of my life. This imposter syndrome that I don't think I'm good enough, and I feel like everyone's doing a podcast, and how can I monetize my creations as my creations are expanding? If you look in the show notes, I add playlists now on Spotify and Apple Music, like I stated in the last episode. And it's on my Linktree, which is in the podcast show website that I have right now. And I also add the links in the show notes. So whether you use Apple Music or Spotify, you can listen to the music that has influenced the creations of this episode, of each episode. I started with episode 10 playlist, and I'll leave up a couple playlists, but it's going to be more aligned with the current episode that I put out. And I just been formulating, overthinking, but also balanced with creating and learning to trust myself to know whenever I put out the content, that is when I put out the content. And it's a lot. It's a huge process to shift my mindset towards that, to look at, hey, imposter syndrome is here, it's present, I'm aware of it. I show some grace and show some forgiveness to understanding that feeling and working through it. Just like the shadow self, being aware and present after this eclipse, knowing when I'm not in my energy and being like, okay, this is all the side of myself that was either suppressed or repressed because I didn't know how to feel that part of myself and feel like if I'm authentic about it to the rest of the world, to take off my mask, right? Happy Halloween. It is November 2nd now as I'm recording this. And there's just been a side note here, sorry. Just a lot of crazy shit that's been happening. The rapper from Migos, Takeoff, was just killed in a shooting. There was a shooting in Chicago during trick-or-treaters, and there's just a lot of vengeful energy out there. Maybe it has to do with the eclipse energy, I don't know. But now is the time to fully continue to know yourself and believe in yourself. And I'm saying this for myself too, because I'm on the experience right with you. I didn't make it near anywhere I want to be in my life yet. Along the lines of, sorry, I'm stumbling on those words. Along the lines of success for my own self and how I envision that, how I see that. I'm a late bloomer in everything in life. But that's okay. That is my uniqueness. That is my soul. My difference is how I make the difference in this life. A unicorn, if you will. A mastermind of my own reality and a co-creator of all things universal. So I take a look at my life. Not always living in the past, but learning from the past. And I gain more clarity as I'm going through this work. This human work I'm in a more introverted state like I was before. Coming out of my shell, becoming more extroverted over the years. Then COVID hit, and now I'm back to my introverted self. And it's lonely at times going through this process that needs to be done. And it's overwhelming to my own self, but I'm on my own clock compared to the person next to me. And as we all strive and live our lives to come back as one, light and love, it's very interesting how everyone's expression is being expressed, I guess. The push for everyone doing TikToks and everyone doing Instagram Reels and everyone doing podcasts, and I'm competing with podcasters of celebrity status, so the algorithms are just going to push my podcast to, okay, no one's going to listen. See the spiral of doubt, imposter syndrome, right? That's like what I've been dealing with the past week. And this is what the energy and of the eclipses is showing me. It's making me more aware of this and what I need to release. So it's not all a negative thing. It's actually for my greatest good. And as I do these episodes, when the time is right for my own self, bringing something different to the table, past perfectionism, editing, trimming each segment, that's not what I want to do. And if it costs me any type of reach, so be it. At least for my soul, I'm just doing it how I do it and how I want to do it. And it's cool to see how since April, just the start of the eclipses basically is when the podcast started. And here we are now with episode 11. And as I continue to find my own consistent way to produce content, I'm always creating, even if I don't publish something each day. And I need to learn to continue doing what I'm doing. And it's all a timing thing about where I can best fit right now into humanity, to help others as I help myself. So this episode and the topics that I'm going to discuss, the intention was set. Now, I had all these other episodes and the construction, and I was like overwhelming myself. I need to focus on one thing at a time and just write it down. So I'm working with that. And it is the beginning of November. We are in Scorpio season. And for me, on my particular birth chart, natal chart, Scorpio rules my first house of self. Some astrology will say it's the masks that we wear. And I think that's interesting because Halloween was the other day. And it's my favorite holiday. I love creating the costumes more than partying now over the past few years. Wild costumes. And this year, I didn't dress up. I just posted more videos and pictures from my costumes last year that I didn't post, I guess, on the social media front and TikTok and what have you. I'm learning to take the masks off because, believe it or not, every day of the year we're wearing a mask, whether it's a costume on Halloween or not. The roles that we play. And I was picking up on that energy when I was serving, getting let go when the first eclipse started, literally the same day. So you could tell that these eclipses are here to transform and wreck shit up in my own life, to put me on the path to a greater good. And I fully believe that. And when I get there, you will be the first to know, because I will have a public service announcement on here. But it's very interesting to see this real time and the evidence that it it shows in my own experience. And I'm not the only one. I love astrology, and I'm not an astrologer licensed by any means, but it's a modality where you can work with the energy to help you get to where you desire to go and where your soul is pulling you towards. And like I said in the last episode, I'm becoming more and more deeply aware of this. So one of the first things is I consistently, on a day-to-day basis, see repeating numbers. I shit you not, today I saw 77 on every car that drove by, because in DC, right now I'm staying at a friend's house. I was in Alexandria across the river. Now I'm staying at my other friend's for a little while. You know, I'm officially on road, away from Hope Road, where I grew up on, back in Pennsylvania. But I saw 77 on every car that drove by. I was like, this is crazy. But it's funny because November 1st, right? Halloween, the veil is lifted. The dead are here. And my intuition is growing more and more to almost like very psychic in a sense. But we all have these gifts and abilities. It's to which we have the vision to open up to receive these gifts and build upon a deeper skill level. And it's very easy to compare yourself to the person next to you thanks to social media in a sense, but all you are competing with is the other parts of yourself. So each human that is a conscious being is self-separated from the source, and we're living our lives back to one, right? But there's different parts of ourselves, so it's just deeper and deeper, just like the universe is within. Well, if you look at your guts, that's a universe in itself, a gut health. So it just is a rabbit hole of amazing things when it's going good, but when the shadow work comes around and the feelings are just too intense, you just want to wreak havoc on all the stuff you've been putting your trust in. At least that's what I've been doing. So I recognize you. I feel you. I know what that energy feels like if you're going through it. There's always someone out there to help you. And to be honest, I said before, I hate asking for help from anyone. And I was doing Instacart earlier yesterday, and everyone just gives grief when I ask a simple question. So I usually just figure everything out on my own, because I just get the sigh or the disdain on their face, like I have to help you. I usually don't ask help a lot, but I'm trying to get comfortable with asking help, even if it's something I even know the answer to, just to like make conversation, to show that I need others like I need myself. I'm trying here, and it's just the same fucking pattern that I see, and I don't know if it's how I feel inside being projected. This is something that I question over and go back and all the time. Is this coming from within, being shown to me, or is this just this fucking person? So I'm learning to, use my discernment when I question that. But then I also take ownership when I know this is coming from within. This is stuff that I have to work on and heal. And it's just an ongoing process, integrating your shadow with your true self, building that authenticity. And Rome wasn't built in a day. I said this on another episode. It wasn't. So your authenticity isn't today. Like the mask isn't just off today. Like you're going to, you can have great ambition towards that. And I salute you, because trust me, some days I do have that ambition. My whole life I have. But the intention needs to be set for the action to happen, but action needs to happen even if you set the intention. And I'm learning that too through this eclipse season, and I'm really giving positive vibes to myself and to all of you. Not false positivity, but just encouragement, because we're so down on ourselves. To be honest, if some of the thoughts that I think, we think so many thoughts per day, we all have the same thoughts in our own unique way. And I feel like social media has deterred us from this idea that people have these perfect, amazing lives, and how do they take pictures of, like, I am guilty of this, and I put myself down all the time, where that imposter syndrome just builds and builds and builds. Taking away from that uniqueness, taking away from the qualities I possess, the mind that I have, that no one else can think like me, my sparkle, my fabulousness, my anything, however you want to say it. Category, bad bitch. It's just, no matter, I'm literally singing a Beyonce song kind of in this, because literally her whole newest album is just empowering. Whether you like Beyonce or not, I have a couple songs on the playlist for this episode towards that. So it's really cool to see, in a sense, how I do my creations and how I'm building my creative side. I've made playlists my whole life when I had to write on CDs 1 through 12 with a Sharpie. And this was like in 9th grade. 1 through 12, 1 through 18 I would have when I made CDs because I always liked to drive. And if the handwriting wasn't neat, start over. See, that perfectionism has always been there. Always been there. It's just into different things now. But it's a process, all in due time. But as you're a human, as you're alive, your uniqueness and that little voice in your head that is rooting for you, that is what's going to get you through. And that's what's helping me, as much as the shitstorm that I've been through this year alone. It's all part of the journey. And I kind of look at it like, you hear all these success stories about all this hard work that people put in, but the hard work isn't just about what they're successful in. It's about all the shit that they went through. I feel like people don't say it, but it's like kind of like read between the lines type thing. It's about this stuff, like letting go of like the stuff that's not you, that has been just put upon you like sediment of the earth, like encrusting you almost to a point where you can't breathe. And almost to a point where some can't take it anymore, depending on their thought processes. And I want you to know that there's so many resources for help. And if this is especially triggering for you, whether your thoughts go to the lowest of the lows, mine do all the time, but it's the anchor, the hope that I have that brings me back. To feel all these extremes of emotions is part of my purpose here on earth, which I don't know exactly what that purpose is, but my imagination has been taken off more than ever since I was little. But now when things are rolling, in a sense, okay, I'm making more sense now. I'm connecting the dots. Timing is essential. Patience is essential. It's all the things, all that stem under love. All the parts of the whole. So, like I said, if you are feeling this type of energy, if you are lost, you're not lost. You're just finding your footing. Remember that. someone once told me, you were always on the right path. Believe that. I am extending this out to you because there's times where I doubt myself all the time. And we all might be different. We all might be unique. But that I believe we all share. Blessings and lessons. That's the name of the game. See, I could say it nicely and enthusiastically on here, and that's coming from my true self because I feel that. But let me tell you, in 2 hours, something's gonna switch to that shadow will come in, and I call my shadow Brady. He needs to be put to bed. Literally, sometimes I sleep. I need a nap. My shadow's out. Like last week, that's what happened. I've been dog sitting at my friend's in DC. She was in London. And honestly, I forgot about this episode and when this being the next episode until she was in London. I was getting ready in her bathroom and she has a fedora on her higher cabinet in the bathroom. It's actually a fedora that I have that I wore in Mexico in July. And I instantly started singing Back at One by Brian McKnight. It's a popular wedding song when I was younger. So I started listening to the lyrics again, and I actually have it on the playlist for this episode too. And now I listen to music to a sense that the creator, the spiritual realm, speaks through the singer to the listener. And for me, it's the biggest relationship I'm working on, because I've never even been kissed, right? In a serious relationship, is with myself. And somehow I intuitively knew that to not even get in relationships of a romantic sense, because a lot of this work needs to be done to have a successful, loving, monogamous relationship that I desire. But I love how just some days a random song starts my day off, and that's the mood for the day. It's like I have a jukebox in my head, and the voice in the head is the actual artist, and I'm just like, what the fuck? But those are thoughts that I like channeling. Music is everything to me. So, but that song started playing, and that's when it hit me. I was like, I need to put out the 11th episode. But that imposter syndrome is, it prevents me from taking the jump, the initiative. Just put it out there. Worry about semantics later, the analytic. I'm just like, all this stuff about, and it ties into marketing and advertising and all sorts of things, but I just wish it could be like, good content needs to be found, and I'm putting belief that what I'm putting out there, especially with my perfectionism, I like this content, and if I like it, that's all that matters. And if it's the first thing that I fully believe in and love, despite my whole life and the circumstances and the self-doubt and not feeling like I'm good enough to be recognized, I'm breaking away from that. So this journey of self back to whole kind of ties in with the laws of the universe, like especially the law of one. I'm not going to really get in depth with that. That might come in another episode, depending on all these other episodes I have to put out, but of all the stuff that's just happening, and I'm putting the pieces together. But when I see 111 on the license plate or 1111, now, before I even understood what I'm learning right now over the past 2 years, I would make a wish. Oh, hey, 1111, something positive, something abundance, financial gain, anything. But now, for me, when I see 111 when I'm driving or on the clock, 111, 1111, it reminds me that we all are one universe. But then I, question, and I'm a skeptic sometimes, and I'm like, so if the way I'm feeling in this exact moment when I saw that number pattern is the whole universe feeling that at the same time, and it's a question I've thrown out there, I probably will never know the answer as a human being, but in one point or another, yes, everyone feels some of these thoughts in their own unique way. But not this week, but before the eclipse, I started seeing 111 a lot. And when I see that stuff, it's like the universe saying, hey, like for me, this is my belief and interpretation of it. You can read books, angel numbers. Everyone has different opinions about seeing like 111, 333, 555. It's for you to use in your journey, the energy that it's giving off, and to being aware of how you're feeling in that moment when you see those numbers. Like when I see 666, people fear the devil with that. For me, it's, hey, these thoughts that you're feeling in that moment, take a step back, be objective about it. Take a breather almost. And when I'm mad, it's like a negative term to me, like, hey, take a step back. Like, why are you but that's because I'm in that shadow phase and my not self, and, my mind's fuming, because for me, Instacarting and Uber Eats and whatnot, driving is a natural meditative state for me. So I'm always constantly going within and inward in my own way. And it's unique to you, I feel. So, I'm learning the energies of the numbers as I'm going through this. And this week I've been seeing 222 a lot, and 555. 555 is more of, hey, you're manifesting, keep up the good work. And I've caught awareness into what I was thinking when I was seeing 55 a lot, and it was like all good things. My imagination was fuming, my vision of how I want my life to look at, of how I want to be. You have to think of that attention, live that life. Like right now, I've been on and off staying at my two friends' really nice apartments in DC and Alexandria. And I'm like very grateful for them reaching out a hand, even though I made it clear that this is uncomfortable for me, but they understand that. I've been friends with them since we were like 13. And they're on their own journey as well. And we like feeding each other's insights back and forth and saying the things that, hey, you might not like to hear this, but I'm being honest. It's from a place of love. And, it's just been amazing. But sometimes I feel like I've overstayed my welcome. But I'm learning to get comfortable with that. But I was seeing 111 a lot on license plates last week, and now it's like 222, 555, and it's a constant thing. Like yesterday, 77 on every license plate. That for me is a very, like I said in other episodes, if this is the first episode you're listening to of this podcast, huge for me, sevens in my life. Like my dog was named Seven. It's just like a huge thing. So that for me is like, hey, you're on the right path. I was feeling a lot of sensitive feelings today because I was trying to Instacart, and it was just traffic city in Northeast DC this morning, and I was balancing that and channeling. I was listening to some Migos because the whole incident and seeing the photos of it was just awful. Like no one's life should be taken by gun violence. It's just awful how a lot of us, out of fear and emotional immaturity, can take someone's own life. I wasn't there. I don't know all the details, but it just needs to stop, if anything. especially for our kids, we need to set the example, change humanity in that sense. And, you have all this stuff coming in and it's like a whirlwind in your head. And it's like, I can't even put myself first because there's so much shit that needs changed. And all you want to do is sleep because you don't know where to start. I feel you on that. I am like that most of my days. But I'm learning to integrate into how I want to show up in the world and how I've shown up in the world. So it's a process. It's life. But we all desire different things and we're all on our own path. But I believe that we share a lot of the things that we desire in some shape or form. So towards the end of this episode, I want to do a angel card tarot reading. I'm kind of getting into this. It's more the fun aspect of, your journey. There's so many different occult topics. There's any which way you can go to connect to something greater than yourself, like I've said before, and I just fucking love it all. Like, I just dabble in all this stuff, and I'm just hype myself up, and then I get skeptic. I feel like it takes me out of that doubt. It's almost like it takes me away from that shadow. If that shadow phase is just lingering and it won't let go, almost in a sense, and it's just a process for my own self as well as for you when you're on your journey. And the deck of cards I use is from Kyle Gray, who is from the UK. His 44 angel cards. He's great. He's on Instagram. I don't think he has TikTok, but he's very intuitive. He's connected to the angelic realm, which I steer towards. I really believe, even though I can't see, I can feel the energies of that, and I imagine that, and it's not to say I'm this angel of, I'm having this human experience. I have all the flaws that you possess, and it's just learning to, hey, you're a human, and love is above the duality here, the good and the bad, like I've stated before on episode 5. It's above good and evil, and the universe is a balance. To know the good, we have to experience the bad in our own way, whether it's in our own lives personally or, just seeing stuff on the news or social media. Stuff flies like no other, faster and faster in this day and age. So I'm going to do that. But for me, when I see, little recap here, 1111, it's more of a wish still. I love that feeling. But usually I see 111 a lot, and I just, whatever I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, get through that feeling. The work is for the greater good, for the whole, but it starts with you. And towards the end of my career serving, it was probably October 2021. And I said this before, I just was at the computer stand typing an order, and I just had this vision that I was a cell in someone's body. And then I was like, yo, to one of the workers, because I would just go, I was very overwhelmed, and I didn't know what was going on. And there was energies, because where I used to work was actually a funeral home. So there was a lot of trickster spirits fucking with me, or I don't know, I didn't see it, but I just was I just had to get out of there at the end of the day. But I said to a coworker, I was like, I literally just seen myself as a cell in someone else's body. Does that mean we're all cells in someone else's body? It's some shit that you would see if you were on shrooms or acid or something. I was just sober, working, and it just hit me, but it ties into this, because if you look at your body parts, the heart can't work if your lungs don't work, all the parts work together. Just as we are working on ourselves, it's lifting up everyone else. And, and when I'm down, I feel like family members are down, like my mom, especially. It's a lot of ancestral healing on your parents, like your mom's side, especially with Chiron 2 weeks ago with the mother wound. I feel like we're just tied in that sense, depending on your relationship with your family members. We all have different stories, but I really, as much as I had to leave to set a boundary for myself, and I was questioning at first if it was the right thing to do. Was I avoiding and running like normal, or was I finally, I think it's a little bit of both, but, I'm learning and I have to show myself compassion. But that cells work together and cells die, but as cells die, others are created, just like us as people. Like one birth there's death, new life, what have you. Was a quote from like Final Destination or whatever. And I believe that. I could see that. There's evidence in that. But evidence, facts, like we get it twisted. Like evidence, facts, and the magic is on the same coin, right? And the tail end is the unknown. But you have to put faith and your belief into an imagination. And this journey of self, coming from a heart space, leading your ego, rather than being a slave to your ego. It takes time. It takes a lot of, grace and, owning up to maybe you've hurt someone in the past, or just owning up to the boundaries that need set of people and the energies that don't fit you. Because you are one of one. You are unique. There's no copy. And each day is a new day to embrace that and to live and be that. So I'm going to do a little angel reading for you. It's a 3-card spread by Kyle Gray. I'll put his information in the show notes too. It's just something fun, and I'm going to use you folks as guinea pigs as I practice doing this, because it just builds belief and confidence in yourself. Like I said, if all this shit that I'm learning over the past few years is all bullshit, at least it's empowering myself, and making myself more aware of the shit that was in negative loops in my subconscious that have been holding me back from the things that I want or deserve, my birthright. So this is going to be a 3-card spread. The first card in the reading, and I have to use the little book for it still, because I fully believe in it intuitively, and I think it's cool because it ties in with, the angel number 111 and what I feel and believe with that number. The first card is a strength that you possess and I possess. This is going to be like a collective reading. If you listen to this 10 years from now, you heard it at the moment you were supposed to hear it, that energy still stands. And I fully believe that. I've heard other readers on podcasts do that, and I intuitively believe that is valid. And the second card is a gift that you possess inside. So you have a strength, a gift, and then the third thing is what you need to work on. And this all stems on, use your imagination, or, think to something not obscure, but what is the word I'm trying to use? Just like a situation that's happening right now in your life. Pinpoint like one thing, and we can use this spread towards that. So you just have to use your imagination and envision these cards, and I'm going to guide you here in just a minute. So I'm going to end this little, episode, and then I'm going to start a new recording. Sorry, I'm like working this because I'm just, I didn't write any of this down. I'm showing you like how this podcast creation is taking place, these 3 little segments. So, okay. Did you hear my voice crack? I was getting a little nervous there. This is new to me, but I really like this. It helps connect with your intuition. So think of something that has been on your mind today or right now. Use your imagination to envision these cards in your own way and pretend to shuffle them. If you are driving listening to this, wait until you get home, or you can kind of channel, but don't, get in a meditative state and close your eyes. But that's why I put this at the end. You can just come to this last part and do it. But envision these 3 cards as I, do this spread for you and reading for you. Shuffle them, set your intention, and place your hands on these cards you're imagining and say, "Thank you, angels, for revealing to me what I need to know." And pretend, pick the cards, but I'm going to pick them for you because I'm doing it for myself as well. And, just send a little prayer of gratitude. Thank you, angels, for revealing to me what I need to know. And like I said, the first card is going to be a strength that you possess right now. And the second card is the heart card, and that represents the blessings that you carry in your heart. And the third represents the challenge. And this is the part of your life where guidance needs to take place and you have to focus on in order to achieve this goal that you're thinking of or problem you're trying to work through, to gain the peace that you are asking for. So you set the intention. Now imagine shuffling the cards and laying the first card to the left, the strength card. So I just laid Archangel Jophiel, and she says to honor your beauty. So this is a strength. So I thank you, Jophiel, for helping me discover my inner and outer beauty. Also, pronunciations, I'm learning here. But also, out of the 44 angel cards, 16 of them are archangels. So the first one, the strength, is that. And her name means the beauty of God. And she is the archangel who can help us acknowledge our own beauty. She can be called upon to overcome the voice of inner doubt and fear that many of us face. Well, look at that. Didn't I just talk about the imposter syndrome that's been happening all week? So this right here is the experience. This is what I go through on a day-to-day basis. And for me, it's truth. But for others, it's skeptics, But I did this reading for all of you that are listening right now and myself. And they're right here with me. And it's so wild how my intuition and my connection to the spiritual realm and the unknown, the stuff that we can't see, that our human mind won't let us see. It's right here. And as this is a strength, she's encouraging myself and you to know that we are more beautiful than we actually realize we are. We are perfect in the eyes of God, the universe, all the interchangeable names, whatever you believe, in his angels. And it's time I look at myself and you look at yourself this way too. It goes beyond the vanity and the, do it for Instagram likes, that, that outward appearance. We need to take steps towards making ourselves feel and look good inside. We have beautiful hearts. And our guides, whether you channel them, whether you're skeptics of them, we all have a spirit guide, angels, what have you. And it's funny because the first time I ever got a reading done, the end of last year, from someone that I, didn't think was, a scammer or anything, like I actually was referred to her. She told me that she is actually one of the angels with me. There's quite a few. And then, in other previous episodes, I talk about how I channeled my, spirit guides and whatnot. And I'm going to get more in depth in an episode about that. But, every day is a new process of connecting to my intuition. And the angels are here to boost my confidence and yours as well. Because, like I said, I am my own worst critic. The voices inside my head. It's how harsh I can be with myself. And my beauty goes beyond my looks. And the beauty is inside and out. That's the truth. So I encourage you, and I'm going to do this for myself, to take time out today to really look at myself and know that, to instill that in my heart about who I am within. And this will put you in alignment with the universe, with God. She's an angel, breath of fresh air, and she brings positive energy if you call on her. And I'm trying to instill this as a ritual for myself, because this just builds, first and foremost, confidence and self-worth and self-love, to get over those negative traits that show up in our thoughts from a day-to-day basis. So just imagine what she looks like to you in your head in that card. And thank her for helping discover the inner and outer beauty that we each have. So the second card that I am drawing is... So just imagine this. It's healthy choices. So thank the angels for guiding you to make healthy decisions, as I thank the angels for helping me make healthy decisions. And it's funny because I'm in this balance of letting go and finding a balance of honoring my health to avoid burnout, just self-care, to get back in that routine, and to, set boundaries and work on mental health and all these things that it can be overwhelming at times, but it's one step at a time. So this is a very good card for myself to draw. And if you have an intention right now, I have so many intentions, but mine is always, since I've been practicing this with myself, I'll just say part of it is to, am I going to be okay? As much as I say this to you, it's sometimes I'm just I feel like everything's going to implode. I'm waiting for the bad, because what must come up, what goes up must come down. And I need to get out of that mindset and that constant loop, because, our thoughts affect our reality. And I'm seeing that in real time. So, this is the heart card. And a little bit more expanded interpretation of this card, of the healthy choices, is that the angels are sending us clear messages when we are in alignment with the three parts of our being: mind, body, and soul. We should choose to be positive, to be happy, be grateful. That's the first step. And, like I said, I want to feel the gratitude. And some days I feel like I don't show enough gratitude. Whether that may be for you, it's all unique to our own. I just want to feel the gratitude, to know that it's real for me. But we have to put more focus on our bodies. But that comes from within. Like, I've been there before, of being always on top-notch self-care. I feel like skincare over the past few years, like before this journey really took full form, it keeps me grounded here when I'm in fantasy land. And we're being encouraged right now to make the healthy choices and continue to do so for our mind, our body, and our soul. In putting our energy first and having a balanced human area, whether it's relationships, diet, what have you, it'll just aid in spiritual growth. And we have to look out for our own light. Remember to keep it always on, because we are pillars of strength. And the third card that I'm drawing, this is interesting. So this is the challenge card of what we need to focus on to get through our current situation that you are thinking of right now. And for me, it's, will I be okay? Will I be successful? It's always kind of the same for me right now. And this is the angel card of focusing your mind. And we should thank the angels for helping us to focus on our priorities. And I've noticed since the last podcast episode during this eclipse season, I'm breaking away from the material world in a sense. Like, yes, we need money to survive. I do know this, and I have to pay my bills. I do know this, and I've been retracting from doing that because I'm putting all my focus on just these meaningless drive arounds to some days not even making $50 and using all my energy in something that's not fulfilling. And it's taking away from my creative pursuits, which I'm starting to put more time into just doing that. And it's not putting out a podcast episode every day, but, creating and getting more in depth with it and being unique with it to get my voice out there, to express myself. So, like I said, the mind is a fickle bitch. Sometimes it's my greatest asset as well as yours. And it's also the greatest detriment in a sense if you let it rule and you're the slave to your mind. Like behind bars, you might see like Instagram posts of depictions of that. You will struggle more than you should. So it's very stressful at times to embody this. So, one day at a time. And it's very interesting, these three cards, like especially my story and just this episode, putting it together, it's just wild to get those three cards. But on a deeper level with that, to go in a little bit more depth with this challenge card. Sorry. I'm just, using this little book as I practice, and pretty soon I'm just gonna, and I really love his work, Kyle Gray, he's very insightful during this journey. But with focusing your mind, there's so many thoughts. All these thoughts. I saw a number today on how many thoughts a human has per day. And with all this on our mind, we find it difficult to focus on the important things. My mind's all over the place when I'm overwhelmed, when I'm not in my right energy, and I'm sure yours is as well. But we're being encouraged to focus about what we do want, about how we want to be in this world. Like I said before, earlier in this episode, the intention that's set will lead to the highest outcome. And the angels can see that there's too much going on in our minds as humans, and it's taking away from our main priorities. And they want to come in, if you allow them, to help us focus so that we can be at our most authentic and best true self, for myself and for you. So find some time to take a moment and let go of all those negative thoughts that are challenging us. And I'm trying to do that as well on a day-to-day basis. They're not serving me, they're not serving you, and we have to refocus on a more healthy, positive way to love. And all we have to do is ask for help. And like I said, I struggle asking for help, even when it comes to stuff like this, where we can't see, but I can feel the energy. And sometimes when I do it, I feel like I'm a crazy person talking, but I don't know. Right now, I try to find the most quiet places. Sometimes I record at night and I don't want to be loud when I'm staying at a friend's house. And when I'm recording this parking attendant just drove by, stopped, brake, and kind of pulled back. And I swear authority figures like that are just placeholders. And I don't even think they're conscious beings. I think they're just here to piss me off sometimes. But I don't know. I will never know that answer. It's on a list of a million questions I have. But if I even remember that list after we leave here. But it's just wild just how my intuition is. The cards that I pick are just so, and trust me, I'm not bullshitting you at all with this. This is just something fun. This is something to get your imagination going, to just instill a little bit of hope and positivity if you're struggling today or trying to find that boost of encouragement. That's what I'm doing for myself, at least on this journey. But that was kind of fun. I need to practice more. I need to understand that more. But I'm definitely going to put his social info in there. And on his page, he has all sorts of books and all sorts of stuff. I dabble a little bit with, as mentors of people that I haven't actually personally met, but I stumbled upon on this journey. And he's really good with the angel number meanings. And, he used to be an intuitive psychic reader, but he just is he's a good time to listen to, and he's very entertaining, and he's very, very knowledgeable, and he's high vibrations from him. So if you want to take a look at that, I'll put that in the show notes. But check out this week. I have a couple little bonus episodes, I'm putting together that are about to be established. There's no consistent posting of this creative work yet, but my podcast journey is a little bit different than the status quo. If you listen to other podcasts, it's kind of coming as I'm on this journey, when the time is right for myself. So share this with someone you love. someone that's interested, someone that's skeptic, get their minds working. And join me next time. Thank you so much. Hey, thanks for hitting the road with me today. And guess what? We didn't run out of gas. So please subscribe to this podcast series to never miss a new episode. And be sure to download, like, and comment on each episode on whatever podcast platform you listen to on. As always, share this with someone you love. And make sure to follow @HopeOnRoad on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Thank you.